So in this video, let's think about the SAT math function problem. And the question is, the line y is equal to kx plus 4, where k is a constant, is graphing the xy plane. Constant means it is just a number. And if the line contains the points C, D, where the C and D are non-zero, what is the slope of the line in terms of C and D? So there are some choices for our answers, and let's think about in terms of solutions of this question. At first, we need to think about in terms of linear functions property, and the linear functions property contains how to find the slope of the function. So at first, let's think about in terms of linear functions basic format. The basic format of linear function is y is equal to mx plus b. If you analyze this format, the y value is our output of our function. Output is the case when it comes out after we input the value, and the input value will going to be our x value. And if you think about B term, B is a y-intercept. The meaning of y-intercept is when the x value is equal to 0, the y value exists. The reason is because if we input the value of x to 0, this whole thing cancels out the 0. We only get y is equal to b. And if you think about in terms of m is a slope of our function. M is a slope. And if you compare it with our original function that they gave us, y is equal to kx plus 4, we can think about k in terms of a slope of this function. And we know that obviously 4 will going to be our y-intercept. So we can write our one coordinate down. Y-intercept means the x value is equal to 0 and the y value is s, and the y value in this case will going to be 4. The coordinate will going to be 0, 4. We figure out one coordinate for it. And they gave us a format, they gave us a point C, D. So C, D. But we need to think about in terms of how to find the slope with these points that they gave us. So for the slope of our function, this is also involving a linear functions property. The way to find a slope is that it is actually changing y over changing x. And this triangle sign, it literally just means changing. And changing y over changing x means if there is a line, we pick some particular points and we find it. And the basic format, the basic formula for finding it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What it means by this is that let's think about we have a 2 points x1 comma y1 and then x2 comma y2, and we basically find a particular two coordinates, two pairs of coordinates, and we subtract y1 from y2, which is exactly the things that are happening right over here, and we pick x2 and x1, and we subtract x1 from x2, and that is what we basically doing right over here. And the reason why we're doing this is because for the slope of our function, we want to see how steep a function is, which means we want to see the change of y and x coordinates. And the y and x coordinates change within a particular equation. And that means the distance between particular 2 points will going to be same. So that's why we pick some particular 2 points, in this case x comma 1, y comma 1, and the x2 comma y2. And this is kind of a formula. So this is kind of a formula when you find a slope of our function when they gave us 2 points. So that's why in order to find a In order to find the approximate value of a slope, we need at least 2 points. Know 2 points that they gave us, and the first thing that we found from the y-intercept from a function y is equal to kx plus 4 is that 0, 4. And that's what y-intercept means. Y-intercept means when the x value is equal to 0, y value exists. In this case, we're going to be 4. So there's 0, 4, and they gave us one more point, that's c, d. And we can actually pick one of the points into x1 and another point to x2. First, let's pick this one as x1 and then 4 as y1. And we're going to be opposite of this, which means the c will going to be our x2 value and the d will going to be our y2 value. And if we just write our the formula for finding this term down, it will going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can actually apply this, that y2, our value y2 will going to be d. And our y1 value will going to be 4, so we write d minus 4. And in the denominator, x2 value is when it is c. And then we have also a x1 value, which will going to be 0. So this term will going to be c minus 0 will just turn into c. And our numerator d minus 4, we don't know exact value of d, so we can just write it as d minus 4. So our exact value of it is d minus 4. And in the denominator, it was c minus 0. So we could have actually got our denominator and the numerator down. And this was a case how we find a slope of our function. So our basic answer for this question will going to be A. And we cannot graph the exact value of this function. The reason is because for y is equal to kx plus 4, which is our exact function for our equation. In order to graph it, we need to know a value of a k, which is our slope of our function. If we know our value of the k, we can graph it because we know that the value of the 4 is a y-intercept, and for the y value, we will going to be our output of our function.